And the whole idea of the branding was born out of suddenly finding myself a single mum and having to earn and make some money. Mm-hmm. And I went back to my training, which was before I moved to Taunton in 2004. I was living in London as a fashion and working as a fashion designer. Mm-hmm. So I went back to my roots, and I came up with this cartoon design of my dog. He was my inspiration of how he was kind of happy throughout all madness that was going on in my life. The dog was this rock and this kind of centre point of keeping me sane, keeping me, as well as my son, of course, but the dog was
keeping you grounded.
Going.
Yeah,
it was keeping me going. So I created this whole brand, and it was initially clothing. So I did hoodies and T-shirts and jeans. So I started that, and had everything made and brought in, and I created this entire brand with this brand philosophy about keeping childhood alive. That I wanted to create a brand that was bright and happy, and creating good self-esteem in children. So that's basically where everything started. And at the time, I had a stall at Clark's Village for a while.
All right. And so you were selling them from your stall at Clark's Village, because you've got quite a history with children's clothing. You created the range for the Spice Girls, it says here. How did that?
You've been doing your research.
Well, how did that come about?
That was my first ever job.
Really?
In fashion design. Yeah, I graduated from university in 1997, and then I was looking for jobs, and this lovely company took me on as assistant designer, and they took me on to work on this project to develop a children's clothing range as a licensed product for the Spice Girls. So yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious! Did it include obviously little pigtails for Baby Spice and all the different? Can you remember anything about it? Or was it like?
Yeah. It was good fun. It was so we took each individual girl's ego, or we had Spice, Baby Spice, we had Ginger Spice. So we took all the different personalities and we created individual looks for each girl. And during the same time, the Spice World movie was coming out as well.
Oh.
So we had the opportunity to create some of the outfits for the movie. And also we did Baby Spice's blue sparkly dress that they wore at the Brit Awards.
Okay.
So we dressed the girls, and then so the project was also, the girls wanted to be heavily involved as much as they could, but they were on their world tour. So every time I did some drawings, I put a booklet together and I'd send it off to them, and they would say what they liked, what they didn't like, and then give us notes, send it back, and we would change according to what was right for the market, because of course Posh Spice would like short skirts, but for children it's not always appropriate to copy that kind of style.
Yeah.
So we had to kind of keep it age appropriate.
That is a problem though with children's clothing, particularly for young girls, because they want to dress like the stars, but the stars don't always have age appropriate clothing on. I mean, they sometimes don't have much clothing on at all. So it must have been quite a challenge to develop a proper children's thing. It
was good fun though. It was really good fun. A lot of it was logo based and little motifs and things like that on the T-shirts and stuff like that.
So with your Zuma the dog, that was obviously some motifs that you sold at the at Street in Clark's Village in the stall there. How did it develop from there?
Well, things changed quite considerably because I moved from England to Portugal.
Oh gosh!
And it was difficult then to do what I was doing. I quit my stall. I couldn't kind of do the selling, person-to-person selling that I was doing in the UK. So I then had to move it to more selling product over the internet. But I had to change the business model quite considerably. So what I decided was, rather than myself manufacturing the product myself, that to develop the character more into a character entertainment brand rather than just a standalone clothing brand. And then through that, I had to develop mostly social media following for Zuma. And then from there, I took on a licensing agent. And then the licensing agent now sells license agreements to potential licensees. So now everything is done kind of that way.
So so you've got other companies making the clothes or putting Zuma the dog on things, but you're still involved, because you obviously brought out some books for children, actually, with Zuma as the main character. So it seems to have gone, whereas some characters start off as stories and then become clothes, this has gone almost
kind of gone the other way.
It's gone the other way. Was there ever a thought in the back of your mind that you would make Zuma a character that who writes the stories? Do you write the stories, or who?
I do. Yeah, I do write stories. I write and illustrate everything. All the branding has come from me. So I'm kind of like the creative, as you would say, behind the whole project, behind the whole company.
Brilliant. So the first book was called, was it Zuma and the DIY or something like that? What was that?
Oh, the Zuma Likes series. Yeah.
Yes.
So Zuma Likes. I have them all here. Okay. So Zuma Likes. Zuma Likes DIY.
Very nice. And that's because your
Zuma
father...
Likes Dig. And these were all... Sorry.
So, and this is because your father was keen on the DIY, wasn't it? You came up with because when your father came over to help out in the house, Zuma himself was getting a little bit involved with the DIY, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. He was helping out. Yeah, he was only a puppy at that time, but he would bring tools for my dad. So that kind of inspired. And then there was Zuma Likes to Dig. Well, of course, every dog loves to dig, but Zuma would be constantly out in the garden digging and finding things. So that was next little book. And then there was Zuma Likes to Hide. Well, of course, he would often hide in the house, and I would find him hiding in different spots in the house. So they were all inspired by Zuma's behaviour. And because my son at that point was also very young, I wanted to create stories that were preschool books so that he would have them. And that's initially all it was going to be, was just stories for my son. So he would have these things to keep and remind him of the things that Zuma would get up to as a baby. Puppy,
I guess, yes.
He's a puppy. Zuma's a dog.
Yeah. So the books are available online. I'm sure available in local shops if you need, if you're able to go to the shops, that would be that would be great. You obviously haven't be able to come back. Your family's in Glastonbury still. You've not come back for a while.
Yeah, I haven't been back since the summer. I had a bereavement during the summertime, and I had to make a quick rush back.
Sorry, yeah.
And I was home just for a few days, but really I haven't been back home since March properly.
But you make your home in Switzerland now, though.
Yeah, I mean, I have homes. Lots of my home. They say your home is where your heart is, and my heart is in Glastonbury, of course, because it's where I grew up. I have friends there. I went to school there. I did all the schools all the way through. My dad still lives there. And then, of course, my family, my husband and my son are here in Switzerland, and this is also home.
Well, it sounds to me, as we were saying earlier, you're going to be stuck in for a bit because for the next couple of weeks there's major snow, isn't there? So
major snow, yeah.
Major snow. Yeah. But you wrap up well, which I'm pleased to hear.
Yeah, definitely. It's a whole different dress code here.
I guess you have snow chains and everything over there, don't you? On cars.
Yeah, we have snow chains. Yeah, and luckily for us, even though we are in the middle of nowhere, we do have a snowplow that comes up in the morning. He's kind of cleared the road before we leave at 7 in the morning. I've
always been keen on snowplows ever since that episode of The Simpsons where Homer was Mr. Plow. Do you know? You don't know, don't know that one. That was that's another reference of the only ploughing that I really know of. But yeah, it sounded like a great job being a snowplow operator. Sam, it's been lovely to speak to you. And can you remind us the books that are available and where we might be able to find them?
Available. We have Zuma the Dinosaur Guide, which is preschool picture book, which is available on Amazon to buy. And then the latest one, which is middle grade chapter book, Zuma. I can't even remember what it's called. It's so bad. Zuma and the Jackpack.
Good.
It's out now. There's so many things that begin with Zuma that I forget.
You can't remember it. You can't remember them all. I mean, you've built an empire. You can't possibly remember everything of it. Do please pop around when we're all back to normal-ish and you're able to come over to Glastonbury. Do give us a call, and you're welcome to come into the studio when I'm welcome to go back into the studio, which isn't yet, just while you're in my dining room here. So thanks for joining me.
I will. It's great. Thank you so much. Thanks for speaking with me, Alan.